church organ and tweeting birds with the odd buzz of a bee. I don't know whether you can hear the church organ, all that sort of stuff. It's kind of ironic because I make a lot of vitriolic rants about God in the garden of God's house. And on occasion I speak to the organ player and to the lady that looks after the church. I don't know what her title is, but they're both very Christian. Church of England this is. And I've had a few conversations and I've asked them about certain things. Are they aware of this and that? And they're not. They're not aware. And so I thought I would make a video today about ignorance being bliss, because it can be, and at the very least, if we don't take on the burdens of the world, then it's the best that we're going to get. And so when people don't know things, they've got no awareness of all the machinations that are going on in the world, the control mechanisms, the propaganda, and the beguilement and the deceit. Good God, and you know, you look at the history and you see it's always been the same and it will never change. And yet lots of people will still trust the government. They'll still tune into the news. They'll still have a belief system in it, when anyone that's woken up knows that it's a complete and utter farce. There is nothing worth listening to. It doesn't matter what they're speaking about. There's nothing worth listening to. And but you know, they go to work, they come back, they turn the telly on, or they're flicking through the news channels on the phone, and they're believing all the stuff they hear. Well, I mean, lots of people get along just fine in life like that, don't they? They go through the whole buying a mortgage or having a mortgage, and you know, getting married, and going to university to get what they think is an education, but it's an indoctrination, and all this stuff, you know. And you know, YouTube's full of them. Drones with PhDs, just certificates of subservience, certificates of beguilement, certificates of deception. You know, a real education is an education of the world, you know. And so I left school before the exams, because I was the one of the oldest in the year, and as soon as you become 16 you're allowed to leave school. So I was 16 before the exams came, and so I didn't take any, but I didn't need any in any case, because I was going straight into a job, because my old man worked with his brother and they had a business in the motor trade. And so I went straight into that. I was already working in it. I'd already, you know, been involved with the motor trade part-time and this, that and the other for many years. And so it was a natural progression for me. And as soon as I was 17 and I took my driver's license, I was driving my old man's Jaguar, a little 17-year-old punk. With Dr. Martin boots, a camouflaged army jacket, driving around in my old man's Jaguar. Oh, the irony of it all. The irony of it all, people. But if we look at let's just say the complicity of the masses, they're compliant to everything. They don't want to go against the rules, and They don't want to get in trouble, and they don't want to start making any waves. They just want an easy life, and so they do the thing. I mean, you can get some people that know that it's a load of bollocks, but it's kind of like, well, what can you do? You can be a renegade, and you can fight against the system all your life. But I've been a renegade, and I've not per se fought against the system all my life. I've just not partook in it. I set up my own businesses working for myself. I never paid any tax. I never paid any income tax because I put all the money back into the business, all my private assets, and so effectively I just kept ploughing it back in, which is just normal tax avoidance tactics. And so I was buying separate properties, and I was using them for business assets and this and the other. So I used the system, I used the banking system, I used whatever government facilities would facilitate me in business, and I complied with lots of their requests, like you have to get a PAYE system, you have to have insurance for your staff, and you have to comply with all the holidays and the holiday pay, sick pay, and all that sort of stuff. So I did all that stuff, and all the fire regulations and all that. You've always got somebody when you're in business coming to inspect you, and there's always enormous charges for this, that and the other, what you've got to comply with. But you keep going forward, and you go, it is what it is, and as long as you're earning a profit, a reasonable one, then you continue. So I ran my own businesses for many years, but now I'm not even like an outsider now, am I? I can't be an outsider when I am in receipt of government money, and so I use that facility. And I've just been to see a dentist to talk about having this tooth done, and on the National Health free I can get a plate put in, but if I want to have a bridge, then I've got to pay for that myself, and the bridge is £1,000 bridge from this tooth for the new one. And so the government may help towards that. I've got to check to see if it does. But whatever facilities they have, then you may as well use it, hadn't you? And so we can comply with everything, and we pay all our bills, and then we are allowed all the facilities, because if you pay your bills and you pay your debts, then people don't mind engaging or entering into contracts with you. You have a contract for your electricity, a contract for your gas, a contract for your water rates, a contract for your mobile phone, whatever else you've got. If you've got any higher purses, you have contracts, and if you're completely outside of the system, then you don't have these facilities. So it's always advisable to partake at least a little bit with the system. And then, of course, having a debit card is immensely useful, isn't it? So there's lots of perks to being involved in the Matrix. And the alternative, living in a wooden cabin out in the forest somewhere, even if you could do it, most certainly you couldn't do that in Great Britain, because every single square inch of land is owned by somebody, whether it's the government or whether it's private. So, going off-grid isn't something that's really viable, and I would think in the whole of Europe. I don't know how far up a mountain you'd have to go before people wouldn't be bothered about what you was doing. But what facilities do you have? What medical care do you have? What food sources do you have? And all this. We're not Stone Age people anymore. We've lost all those skills. And so, we've got to accept the Matrix. So accepting the Matrix and looking at all the trinkets and the wonderful things that it has to offer, well, I mean, it's very, very beguiling indeed. And, you know, I wouldn't condemn anyone for gathering up the trinkets of the Matrix. I did it myself for many years. Lots of properties, nice big cars, speedboats, and fine holidays, and I could buy everything I wanted. You know, when you've got literally thousands and thousands of pounds in the bank, you can just buy whatever you want. And I'd travel all over the world, and you know, I'd meet girls, and I would, you know, befriend them for a period. You find one that you like, and then you just take them shopping, and, you know, take them to beautiful restaurants and hotels. And many a time girls have said to me, you know, you're so lucky. And I'm like, why is that? She says, or they said, because you can just buy anything you want. It seems like you own a bank. You've just got money for everything, when we're poor. And I'm like, yeah. You know, when I used to travel to Africa and Thailand and the Philippines and places like that, well, I was effectively a millionaire compared to those people. And when I first went to Bulgaria, I was a millionaire in their money. And so, yes, we live very, very privileged lives in the West. And, you know, if we're prepared to work and, you know, make gains and, you know, gather up all these trinkets and facilities, then we live, you know, in great luxury. Now, yesterday in the gym, I was talking to a guy. Just let me say this, people. I've said it before, but I wonder how many of you really get it. Under normal circumstances, when I'm not having belligerent rants for my channel, I'm the nicest guy anyone would meet. I'm always the first to engage with somebody, bid them good day and start having a chat with them, and everybody always ends up having a smile or laugh with me, and that's just how it is. There's one guy over there who's working on the church. He's doing some pointing, and so every time I come in here, when he's there, I'm having a chat with him, and he's always laughing, and, you know, we're having a good chat. Just round the corner there's that you know, ancient thatched cottage, and there's a guy in there that's doing all the building work, and I say hello, hello, and I ask if I can go in and have a look, and I stand there, you know, 3/4 of an hour sometimes having a chat with him, and he shows me all around and everything. And then all the people I meet when I'm walking up and down the path to the gym, then in the gym. So I'm a real paradox, and people, you know, would very easily get the wrong impression of me and my variety of disposition, personality and character and this and the other. But there's many personalities and there's many characters, and like I'm always saying to you, I'm acting most of the time when I'm doing these videos. I'm speaking from a certain facet that people don't speak from, and so I deploy an alter image, an alter personality, a persona. It's like when we have like prostitutes, or, you know, people what are doing something in a profession, but they don't lay claim to being that person. It's just their job. So they'll have a stage name and they'll call themselves, you know, I don't know, whatever, Luscious Lips or Luscious Linda or anything like this. And you know, they're probably called Julie or you know, Sam, or, you know, a very, you know, mundane name like that. But they tend to elaborate these stage names because they enter into a persona when they're doing that, because they don't like what they're doing and they like to detach themselves from what they're doing. And so it's easy to detach yourselves when you become a different person. You deploy a different persona. So when I'm making all these videos and I'm talking about this, that and the other, and yeah, I deploy the appropriate personality which goes with it. A belligerent, don't give a fuck, a larger than life character, because it seems that, you know, I'm one of the very, very few people on the fucking planet that's prepared to say all this stuff. And you would never have heard me say like and subscribe, and you know, I just don't get involved in all that. I chastise the viewers for being taking motherfuckers, for not even bothering to put a thumb up, you know, but I'm not like and subscribe, it helps the channel grow. I don't give a fuck about anything, like I told you the other day. I'm just emancipated from everything. It is what it is. And so, you know, it's so emancipating. It just leaves me free. I can say whatever I want within the realms of the guidelines of YouTube, of course. But I can say almost anything, except a few particular things which are sensitive at this moment in time. The hate speech thing for certain creeds and gays and, you know, all that sort of stuff, or anything to do with this recent squirty shit. You still can't say anything about that, or there's still some entheogens that you can't fucking even mention. But other than that, you know, I can call everybody blue. I really can. And so we're still exercising a great deal of freedom. Go to North Korea, go to China, and you'll be disappeared. I would have been disappeared for one of my videos, just one of my videos. I would have been disappeared a long time ago if I was residing in one of those countries. So we are pretty free. Now what I was saying is, this guy I was talking to, he's always got an immaculate white shirt on, and when I come in the morning at 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the changing rooms, he's just come out of the shower and he's getting dressed, and he's putting on his crisp white shirt and his pressed black slacks and his shiny black shoes and then his tie, and I'm like, wow, you're quite a product of modern society. And he goes, oh yes, he's got an accent, he's from Hungary. And I say, what do you do? He says he's a solicitor. And I went, good lad, keeping all the muggles in line, making sure they don't do anything naughty. Yes, that's what I do. And so we was talking about other stuff, and I can't recall exactly what I was saying. I think I was talking about, maybe it got to Keir Starmer, our British politician at this moment in time, how most people are going down for being a proper wanker. But he says, you don't really know what wankers are, in all due respect. You go to Hungary, you live in Hungary, you'll know real wankers. You're going to get arrested for nothing, and you know, Hungary was communist until very recently. Bulgaria was communist until 2006. No, 2008. I went there in 2016. It got out of communism, so I went there in 2006. So only fucking 10 years after the event of that. Yeah, Hungary is still very Eastern Bloc, and you couldn't get away with saying stuff about the government or anybody in the position of power. And so he absolutely loves the freedoms of Britain. And I said, yeah, that's a good point, because we need to always keep in check, because it's all relative. Because we haven't come from China or North Korea or, you know, Russia maybe, like Hungary. We've been privileged with a vast amount of freedom, more than anybody else on the planet. So we could consider ourselves that we're still not free, because this and that, we're all slaves. But, you know, okay, so, you know, we are the freest. Most certainly we are the freest. And goodness me, you know, you can live a life like mine on government handout, doing whatever you want to do for years and years and years. And so, well, where can you get that in another country? Very few people. Where can you go and get free medical care? We used to be able to get completely free dental care when you was in receipt of government money, but even if you weren't, then you was allowed free dental care and free doctors, and we still are free doctors at least. I think there's more dental practices they are not accepting people on the National Health Service, people on benefits, because they've got too greedy. They can charge much more privately, so all the dentists are going private. So there was a time when you could get the first four front teeth, top and bottom, with implants. You can get those done free, but now you can't get the implant free because the implant is worth about £3 grand, £3.5 grand, something like that. But you can get a plate, and the plate's like 350 quid. So at least they provide that service. But they've become pretty austere in recent times, and I think most of the thing is due to COVID, because they just almost became broke through COVID, so they've now got to recoup some of the money back. So they're cutting their suit according to their cloth, you know. But it's all swings and roundabouts. There will be a time when a different political party is in place and the country's more affluent, and then they'll go back again to giving the peasants free teeth. Because what's going to happen with people like me, if I don't go and have a plate, then I'll be toothless. And you know, more and more people are becoming toothless because firstly, they don't want to go through all that rigmarole of, you know, going to all these appointments and this, that and the other, and whatever pain and suffering they have to incur. But most certainly, if they have to pay, if they're working, then they ain't going to be really doing that, because for one tooth, £3,000, you could buy a very fine car, and so, you know, dentistry is pure extortion. But I'm meandering and I'm floating around, and some of you might find it interesting because you might live in Hungary, you might live in Bulgaria, where you don't have these facilities, you don't have free national health. Anyone that comes into this country and gets into an accident and needs medical assistance, they can go straight to any one of our hospitals and they'll get medical treatment free. Whereas if I went to America and I wanted medical treatment, unless I've got like a lot of money and I've got a credit card there and then, I could be on my deathbed, and yes, unless I pay for treatment, I ain't getting no treatment. They're not treating you first and then trying to get you to settle the bill after. No, they're not doing that. They want paying first, and it's absolutely disgusting and vile. That's why Great Britain is one of the best countries still on the planet, contrary to whatever muppet gets into the premiership. The Great Britain is vastly better than America. We pay less tax than America. We work less hours than America. We get better service than America. We've got better standards. Our cops are not about to shoot us like they do in America. Our cops don't carry guns unless it's the special forces, you know. And then, you know, you get airport police with the machine guns, but you don't get people walking around. You don't get coppers walking around with guns on the belts or anything like that. You get them in special cars, and they're all, you know, zipped into the fucking lining of the roof of the car, or in the boot, or in sealed locked boxes, all this sort of stuff. But you know, you've not got coppers that can just fucking pull a gun on you and use it. And so I'm looking at the positive aspects of things, instead of like screaming, ranting and raving about the Maya and, you know, this, that and the other. Well, let's look at some of the positive things. I'm sitting here now, and we've got gorgeous weather, and the thing is about Great Britain is that we never have a consistent beaming sun in the sky. We have lots of varying weathers, and so we have quite a bit of rain, which is really fortunate, because this is one of the greenest countries. You know, well, Northern Europe, I suppose it's pretty similar in this hemisphere. We get the appropriate rain to keep everything green and blossoming and in bloom, flowers and everything, and it's wonderful. You know, I've lived in places whereby they have a dry season and the rainy season, and the dry season's dry and everything dies, and when the rainy season comes back, there's nothing living to start drinking the water, except a few animals that's left and the human beings, and it's barren. You know, there's no you'll never find a lawn like this in Africa. You just wouldn't do it, you know, unless of course it's a purely manicured one in like a parliament building where they've got the money to do it and all that sort of thing. But otherwise you just got dry dust everywhere. So there's a lot to be grateful for, people, and I'm immensely grateful. And the joy I get, pure joy from the stillness of the day, watching the gnats and the bugs fly around, and these little fairies that blow off dandelions, you know, they're all flying around, drifting through the air. And there's annoying flies which I will kill given the opportunity. They're the only bane, they're the only things really we in Great Britain have got to contend with, annoying flies. There's only like a bee and a wasp that's going to cause us any pain. We don't have any poisonous snakes. And you know, I've been walking around this countryside for years and years and years, and I've only ever seen literally about 3 adders. That's our biggest snake, which is about 4 feet long, and it's potentially poisonous, i.e. to a baby or someone with a very, very weak heart, but it's not renowned, and it doesn't have, you know, hardly any deaths because it's so shy that you can't get near them. And then the other one is a grass snake, you know, which is just a thin thing like this, long about that, and it's just pure olive green. And so we can sleep in the woods or in a hedge, and we can go walking, we can go swimming, we can do whatever we want, and we don't have to worry about you know, any little fishes that are going to swim up the end of our penises and lay eggs in our fucking brain and make us go blind, you know, like in Africa. What's that? Is that called dengue or something? There's this little fucking thing that gets into your penis and it does all that shit, and you know, so many Africans are blind. And then all the snakes and all the bugs and mosquitoes. We don't fucking have mosquitoes here. Very, very rarely do we have, you know, maybe the odd one if you go out into, you know, a very natural environment. And so it really is bliss. And then when we look at all the wonderful things around us, this is the Garden of Eden. Planet Earth is the Garden of Eden, and I've travelled extensively enough to appreciate it a great deal, travelling 45 countries and living and working in many of them, visiting them many times. I've been out of this country about 15 years of my life, living in other countries, and I've seen some wonderful, incredible things that you wouldn't even think are of this earth. You think they're on another planet. And so this earth is just so incredible. But then you see, it being of a philosophical mind, I look at things, and because I'm very steeped in the old Buddhist Maya and the monism, and you know, because I've learned so much and I've become spiritually awakened, then I'm confronted every single second of the day that I'm living a dream. And so, of course, because I investigate it and I ask what that means and I look into everything, and I discover that when you look into things, well, you just keep looking, you know, more and more refined until in the end the things actually disappear, like in you know, quantum physics. Whatever you think you're looking at under, you know, a quantum microscope, well, there's nothing there in the end. So if there's nothing there, if you know, everything is just consisting of energy in different vibrations, well, I mean, there's no physical matter here, is there? And that's what quantum physics tell us. And then when you've had lots of spiritual and supernatural experiences, then that reiterates this non-reality. And you know, I'm pretty tied up in it, I'm pretty wrapped up in it, to be fair, and this is why I'm banging on about it, you know, in many of my videos. But that's why I keep my videos varied, you know, to keep a change, so you know, I'm not just like a stuck record. But you know, you see, I will say all these things and then I'll get people in the comments, and I know people in the comments have been watching my videos for a long time, many years, and yet they will say stuff which they should have learnt in the first video of mine that they watched, let alone watching me for years, probably watching 1,000 videos, let's say, at least hundreds of videos, and they will say stuff and I'm like, most people, they will never ever enter into my concentric circle of consciousness. And I'm not saying this to be haughty and to demean anybody, but you know, I've always explained to you that there's concentric circles of consciousness. And if you are in the smallest one in the center, then you are automaton, you are sheeple, you are fast asleep, you know. But then the circles outside of circles, and you know, you might have an idea of where you are in comparison. There's no numbers, because this is just an idea that I've thought about, and I've never heard anybody speak about it, but it seems very befitting that we have concentric circles of consciousness. And it's like when you drop a pebble in a pond and it ripples out. Well, I mean, I'm pretty well out there these days, and how do I know I'm out there? Because I know all of the conscious stages that I've been a part of. I've been in these rings, and so now I'm out in a you know, a distant extremity, and I can look in at all the people that are not where I am. And so then when people put comments down, I'm like, wow, you're only in the second ring out. You've been watching my videos for 5 years. And so it appears to me that many people are not destined to exit their paradigm of consciousness, their dimension of consciousness. They don't have whatever it takes. They don't have the cosmic spark or whatever it is. Who knows what it is? But they don't have it. And it doesn't matter how much you try to teach them, and you know, and again, I watch videos of people with whiteboards and they're explaining stuff and they're drawing it at the same time. You know, you've got some videos whereby you've got someone talking and then you've got someone drawing the cartoons, and if they talk about if you take an aeroplane over to another country and then they show you an aeroplane flying through the clouds, you know, a little squiggle like this, and then if you say, oh, you're talking to your therapist, then oh, this quick sketch. Come on, do we need that? Do we really fucking need that? Who would actually find that interesting? I find it immensely annoying. I think it's childish, and I think it's insulting. But it works for lots of people because they need it in pictorial form as well as they're doing verbal form, because they can't just pick it up from the verbal form. They need the illustration. That's why you've got to have, why you have people that go to sit before a guru or somebody that's teaching them meditation, because they can't just go online and listen to a fucking video and learn it themselves. They've got to go and pay, because they think it's not got no value unless they pay. And so, like the Transcendental Meditation Organisation, the last thing I heard, they're charging £1,500 for 2 half-day meetings. Absolutely shocking, and it's pure deception, and it's extortion, and it's disgusting, and it shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't be legal, because they're not giving you anything that you can't get from a 2-minute video on YouTube. But they have this pretense that, oh, don't believe them, or we've got to tell you what your secret word is. That's what they premise their £1,500 on, because they will tell you, they'll give you a secret word which you use as a mantra. and they tell you not to tell anybody else. Why don't they want you to tell anybody else? Because it'll turn out that 50% of the people in the room have got the same fucking word, and the other 50% have got another word, and then you say to yourselves, if I paid 1,500 quid for this fucking word, motherfuckers. So they tell everyone, don't tell this because, oh, otherwise it won't work, and people go, oh, okay then, it's a secret, and because they've paid £1,500 for it, then they're not going to tell anybody, and they are going to keep it a secret. So you see how these idiots are beguiled, and all people need to do, all corrupt people need to do when they're taking their money off them, just say, keep it a secret, you know. Oh, because it's too good for them out there. You're paying £1,500. No, they don't want you to tell them, because they're going to tell you what a cunt you are for paying £1,500. You see, it's reverse psychology, people. And so it's kind of like the world's full of idiots like that. Full of them. And yet I used to teach transcendental meditation, and I would do it, you know, very, very comfortably within 1 hour. And I would charge like £35. And I hardly got anybody coming to take me up on that, because they were already indoctrinated, propagandized by transcendental meditation. They charge 1,500, and sometimes they tell you they're doing a special offer, and they can do it for £899. But you've got to come quickly. Oh, £900 instead of 1,500. And then people think, well, how can you be selling it for £35 when they can barely even sell it for £900? No, because they are an organisation, they're an institution which has got massive property and land all over the world, motherfuckers, fucking fools, and they've got it on the premise of cunts like you. And then people like me that want to try and do people a favour, oh, wake and pray if he doesn't know anything about, that's not the real true chance. No, how can it be that, you know, he's not a guru, and all this stuff. And so I go, well, these idiots, they deserve everything they get. Yeah, go and pay you £1,500, you complete fucking dickwipes. Go and do it, you know, because you deserve nothing more. You deserve nothing more. But you know, when I wanted to investigate transcendental meditation, I thought meditation, okay, I've heard about this guru, this Mahesh yogi guru, the little effeminate fucking queer looking dude, which the Beatles went down to Bangor in Wales around 1967, and then they later went to meet him in India, but they all came back disenchanted and delusional, and writing songs about him. One of the songs they wrote was called Sexy Sadie. Sexy Sadie, what have you done? You made a fool of everyone. Sexy Sadie, because what he was doing, he was hitting on all their girlfriends. And they thought, hang on, he's a guru, he's supposed to be celibate, he's supposed to be just meditation, peace and love, man, but he was hitting on all the fucking girls. And so, you know, Lennon wrote that song, and the Beatles fucking came back in a huff, because they felt like they'd been embarrassed, they're made idiots of, because he wasn't, you know, anything other than just a man raking in the money. And he was the founder of the Transcendental Meditation Organisation. He came from India because he'd heard there's money to be made in America and in Britain, Europe. Anyway, I speak about a lot of things, I'm always digressing, stuff like that. But I'm speaking with a softer disposition, speaking about lots of things which are beneficial, pleasant, and we can really enjoy in life. But now let me just get into the deeper aspect of it, the philosophical aspect of it. If you want to try to comprehend where I'm coming from when I say that there is this is Maya, when the Hindus, the Buddhists, they speak of Maya. Maya means illusion, and illusion is something which looks in a certain way but isn't what it looks like. So like a mirage in a desert, and that's well, it's not necessarily an illusion, it's a mirage, but okay, somebody could profess that they have undying love for you, and you believe it, but you discover that they've got two other boyfriends or girlfriends at the same time, and they've been saying that to them as well, and so, well, it's all been illusory, hasn't it? It hasn't been real. They told you that it was real, and it looked and felt like it was real for a while, but then you discover that it wasn't. So that's what this thing is, because look, we think that this is all solid, and we think that these are all colours and things like that. But if you listen to philosophers, even scientists, they'll tell you that there's no intrinsic colour in the world. The colour is generated by our brains and our eyes, because our eyes have cones and rods in them, and whether it's the cones or the rods, there's one green, red and blue. So we've got the primal colours. So we've got these primal colours which enable us to see quite a broader spectrum of colours which mingle between the three of them, you see. And then we look at things and we can say, well, this is black. We've got a concept for black. It's just a concept. Take the concept away, and what have you got? You've got no way of speaking about a colour, you see. And so take colour away. Well, you won't even think about colours, would you, if you take the concept away? So you can take colour away from the world by just taking the concept away, people. But of course you can't do this with people that already knew about the concept, because they've already been born into it and they've already been programmed into it, and people have told them since they were a baby, this is black. And then here is like a pinky, reddy sort of colour, and you know, this can be very vague, and you know, people can get confused about that because it isn't a primal colour, and it's not like it's red, or it's not like it's blue. It's kind of reddish, it's kind of bluish, and so there's already vagary there, isn't there? And so what colour is that? Can anybody actually say what colour that is? Nobody could ever say for sure what colour that is. Nobody could ever say what colour that is, unless they created swabs, and the swab matched that identically, and the swab matched that identically, and then it had a label of a colour next to it. But this would have to be standardised throughout the whole of the world, and that of course is impossible to do. So therefore these colours always are going to be murky. You see how it is, people? Everything's murky when you start to look at it. But black is pretty well black. And then people say, well, black's not a true colour because it's just a very, very, very dark shade of brown or blue or red or anything. You just keep going darker and darker and darker, and then, you know, things lose their pigmentation, and then they'll look this colour. But this isn't a colour. This is just a non-colour. It's something without a colour. But then again, it's got the concept of black, and so we believe in it. We incorporate these things, and we say, pass me that black, you know, glass container, and this, that and the other, and everyone knows what you mean, because everyone's been programmed and indoctrinated into it. But if you took babies from birth, and you didn't teach them anything, you just fed them in silence, and you left them to their own devices, then they would grow up without having any of these concepts, without having any discernible language. They would doubtless have the capacity to recognise grunts between themselves, because our minds genetically are programmed to receive language. It's not like we're monkeys, you know, our brains are actually, our DNA is programmed to be able to learn very, very quickly languages, so it's already pre-written in here. Otherwise, learning a language would be absolutely astronomically difficult, but we've already got the blueprint, you see, people, because of the thousands of years of genetic baton passing. But I use this analogy. I say, well, look, if an alien came down to Earth, and this alien came from a planet which was vastly different in every perceivable, conceivable way. Let's just say the alien was an octopus of some, you know, something like that, an encephalopod, you know, like one of these Men in Black creatures, and it lived in an entirely different realm. Well, when that came here, And if they were talking amongst themselves, or if the boss said, hey, Captain, you know, what do you see down there on that planet? They go, nothing. There's nothing here, boss. There's just a fuzziness of what we know as energy. Because they couldn't say there's a blue sky and there's a blue ocean and there's green foliage and grass and trees and that, because they never had that. They never had concepts for that. So this is what I'm saying. This is what, you know, the Buddhists are meaning when they say it's all Maya. The only reason anything is here is because we've projected a label and a concept onto it. And we've all been born into the concepts. We grow into it very, very quickly. Don't run on the pavement, or don't run down the corridors, or don't put your hand on that hot kettle, or, you know, let's go and lie down on the soft grass. And so we learn all these things, soft, okay, grass, and you know, on and on and on. And then we build our world. If we never had this language, people, if we never had the concept, then there would be nothing discernible here. We could walk around and we'd bump into things, but we wouldn't know what we're bumping into, because we wouldn't know about solidity, we wouldn't know about colours, we wouldn't know about texture, we wouldn't know about hot or cold, we wouldn't know about these things. The body would feel something, but you wouldn't know what it was, because we hadn't created the concepts to build our world by. Do you grok that now? Because it seems to me that as much as I speak about this stuff, very, very, very few people grok what I'm saying, and even fewer are interested. They're just not interested in this wacky sort of philosophy, you know, solipsism sort of fucking thing, you know, just reducing everything to nothing. They're not interested in that. They're going to go, oh, fuck you, it's just grass out, and I want to walk on the grass. I'm not interested whether it's this and it's that, whether it's conscious, whether it's got atoms in, whether it's just energy, whether, you know, it's a life form into itself in lots of other respects. They're not interested. You know, they're interested in maybe their beer or their food or their kids or their partner, and these sort of things, you know. Interested in perpetuating the dream, the Maya. And speaking about black reading glass containers and the books and paper and words and text, and, you know, when we think about these things, we can easily see, well, that's all this dimension is. It's just created via these language concepts and labels. That's it. So what I do is I go into a meditation and I clear the mind, and then I ask myself, what's here? And I'm not feeling the body, because I've gone beyond that. I'm just pure awareness, and there's a little bit of engagement with the egoic consciousness, and I say, well, what am I? What am I experiencing? And then it's kind of like, nothing. And I go, well, there is something. Oh, you mean you want me to label it? Oh, well, it's kind of like nothingness. It's like pleasantness. It's empty. Oh, look, why press me for this? When you go into a meditation, there's nothing there. So stop with this incessant questioning. There's just nothing there. So to give it up already. Okay, yeah, great. So we go into the meditation, and literally, people, I can close my eyes, and this is what I said in one of my therapy sessions when she asked me to close my eyes and visualize. I said, if I close my eyes for more than about 10 seconds, I'm in the bliss. I'm completely detached from this human experience, and so that method isn't going to work with me. And then when she's looking for a pain body within me, so do you feel anything about this thought and this? No, I don't feel nothing. Well, why? Because I've been meditating and I've been on this spiritual journey, and I am actually an enlightened being, and so there's no Eckhart Tollean pain bodies in here. There's no like chakras which are closed and all these silly metaphors, and there's no energy portals which are blocked and all that. Just bollocks, bollocks. And, you know, You know, we can impose metaphor upon metaphor upon metaphor upon metaphor. But if you don't accept the metaphors, if you don't, I'm not grokking, I'm not engaging with these metaphors. When I fucking close my eyes and go into meditation, the whole cosmos disappears, and all that's left is eternal isness. That stillness, that nothingness. And I know that I am that, because I can't avoid that. I can't get outside of that. That's always there. I can forget about it briefly sometimes when I open my eyes and I go, oh, this is the world, and I'm sitting in the churchyard, and I'm this, and there's a camera, and what am I doing? I'm just lying to myself. I'm just creating my fiction. That's all I'm doing, people. Every time I open my eyes, I'm just creating my own fiction. You see? And then if you said, oh, this is my wife, I go, what's wife? Oh, spouse, what's spouse? Partner, oh, what's partner? Someone that we're married to, what's marriage? And then you just break it all down. And then in the end you go, well, someone I live with. What do you mean live with? Live with, what does that mean? When you cohabit, when you share a house. You see, all we're doing, because we can't definitively say anything, we just go, we give other erroneous and other misconceptions and other beguiling concepts. My partner, my lover, my best friend, my soul partner, all these different sorts of things, the mother of my children, the husband of my children, the father of my children, and all this. But all we're doing is throwing concepts onto something. Because it isn't anything. There is nothing there unless you throw concept after concept after concept on it, you see. So where I am now, people, is when I'm listening to people speak, I'm like, well, all they're doing really is just verbally perpetuating the illusion. And when we engage in anything, we just physically, mentally engaging in the illusion. And if you think about it long and hard enough, when you know there's no physical reality here, then we're not even engaging in it physically. We think we are, we're dreaming that we are. So then it comes back, oh, well, we're just dreaming then. Yes, because you can accept the dream, and the dream is very rational, it's very reasonable, and we can have a very, very precise simile to that scenario, because all I say to you people is, look, well, when you dream at night, there's a mini you created by your consciousness, and it's doing all different sorts of shit that you shouldn't be doing, right? Most of the stuff you shouldn't be doing, but you're doing it in that fucking dream. And, well, when you wake up, you go, fucking hell, I hope I don't get sprung for that fucking stuff. I wonder if my neighbour will realise that I gave her a right good boning last night. And all that different sorts of stuff, So if we can live worlds like that, which seem very, very real on lots of occasions, then can't we just envision that that's what we're doing here? We're just creating out of our consciousness, out of our labels, out of our concepts, out of our language, a dream world. And so, but not to labour it anymore, because you either get it or you don't, But what I do is I detach myself from all that, and I'm in an open-eyed meditation, and I am just basking in the glory of the sun god, because it gives beautiful chemicals to the body. It creates dopamine and serotonin, and these are the chemicals that stimulate the brain and make it feel wonderful, and then that sends out the appropriate chemicals which soothe and satiate the body. And so when we are relaxed in the sun, where we're in bliss, we are actually in heaven, people. And what is heaven? It's a state of consciousness. Now, when I take DMT the actual chemical DMT is almost exactly the same as the serotonin chemical. And so when you breathe in DMT, well, you are having a massive influx of serotonin. And when you've got a massive influx of serotonin, your mind is electric. It's all on fire with synapses. And the world is absolutely beautiful. And the ego just drifts away, and all your cares in the world just drift away. You don't have any cares because you're not a human being. You are pure consciousness observing a very, very bizarre world, which is fascinating and amazing. It's not scary in the slightest because your ego's gone. There's nothing to be scared. It's pure consciousness which is looking at the DMT display. Whether you see beings in the sky or whether you see creatures all over the place, everything has got living creatures in it, or it is, and it's a beautiful feeling. The DMT is like a beautiful, it's like the love you've never had. It's your best friend that you've forgotten. It's the parent that you know didn't give birth to you in this reality. It's something vastly over and above whatever you feel you are as a human being. It's mother. It literally is mother. And it's nurturing and it's wonderful. And if anything resembles what we could consider to be love, then that is that, people. And so in my book I write about is God a chemical? Because when I have taken DMT, and I've took it many times, let's say 200 times, then every single time it flushes my brain with serotonin, and I feel without a single care in the world. There's no notion of the human being, barely a notion of the human being. There's just pure joy. That's all there is. And this joy, often on a day like today, it would last for another hour or an hour and a half, whilst the brain is still firing. Maybe there's a residue of DMT there. DMT is supposed to wear off in 10 minutes, but I've had occasions when it just seems to, the beauty lasts for, you know, at least an hour. And so when people speak about love, well, that's the height of the best possible experience you can have as a human being. That is pure unadulterated bliss. There's nothing better ever that I've ever experienced. And so I then ask, is God a drug? Is it an entheogen? Is it a chemical which activates portals or other chemicals in your brain, or which enables us to feel in this best possible human way, which has been called love for so long? And everything is dripping in ecstasy. Every blade of grass, every little gnat, every flicker of light on a leaf, everything is pure ecstasy. Just beautiful and wonderful. And it would be amazing to stay there forever, but you couldn't do anything. You couldn't do anything. You just... Terence McKenna used to say that you have to be very careful that you don't die of astonishment, because that's the state your mind's in. You're absolutely dumbfounded and astonished at everything you see. Even though the world is still kind of like the world. If I take DMT here, which I have done a few months ago, then this tombstone's still here, all these gravestones are still here, the church is still there, the grass is still here, the sun's still up in the sky, but the feeling is absolutely incredible. And then I'll look down at the grass and I'll see a whole sentient life form, and everything's exaggerated. The flowers are kind of like, hello. The little dandelions are all like, hello, as if they're saying, I'm love, I'm love. And DMT does that. It actually tells you that, you know, it is love. It is love. And then when you take a real good dose, the DMT will tell you, you couldn't stand any more of this love, could you? And it's like, no, take it away, take it away. Because when you have such a feeling of love in the body, it's such a vast energy that on one occasion I'm smoking it standing up, and it dropped me to my knees, and my hands were in the dirt, and I was clutching at the soil. And DMT was talking to me, telling me that, oh, you bit off more than you can chew this time, haven't you? You couldn't stand any more of this, could you? And I'm like, no, you're perfectly right. This is my limit. Please take it away, because it's unbearable. It really is. That level of love, the body doesn't know it. It's unbearable. That's why we can't enter into that Christ consciousness, that pure love. I had this occasion where I said Jesus spoke to me, and I'm lying on my couch, and I wrote about it in my book. And I had this feeling come over me, this spiritual feeling, and it was very DMT-esque, combined with an out-of-body experience. And it was a true spiritual experience, because I read almost exactly the same feeling in the American philosopher William James. He wrote a book called Religious Experiences, or Variety of Religious Experiences, because he wanted to know what on earth was going on. And so he compiled many from very respectable sources. And so there are people that get these spiritual experiences. They spontaneously, your mind obviously releases spontaneously DMT now and again. And I've had this, on occasions when I've just been out in nature. One particular occasion I was just cycling, and I got off my bike to go and look at some leaves on a tree, because I always want to know, about trees and things like that. And then all of a sudden I just stood, and the whole world just went silent. And I just looked up, and everything about that samadhi, like it was exactly the same as DMT, people. I was just looking up, and the world told me that it's for you. It's all you. It's always going to be you. You are blessed. You are God's children. And I'm like, wow. And then when you have some sort of reflection about what it says in the Bible about God's children, and God created the world, well, these people were doing these drugs, people. There's no doubt about it. And that's where they get it all from. And so when I was taking these entheogens, DMT, and I saw what could be very easily considered to be God, made out of cloud, reclining in a cloud with a big long flowing beard, with his toga on, and he was just looking out across the world. It was so surreal. It was there for about 10 minutes. It was absolutely incredible. It's like Michelangelo painted out of cloud. It was a real entity. It was a real being. It was just like God up in the sky, and I'm crawling around on my hands and knees, and my friends filming it, and I'm like, God's up in the sky. I've just seen God, and I'm wasted, man, but not wasted enough so I was incoherent. I knew exactly what was going on, and I've never forgot that to this day. And then on other occasions I saw very similar characters with huge beards and huge strong arms, and all these men, they're old men, 70 years old, but they're like goth, and they've got the togas on, and they're flying through the sky, and all the hair's blowing back, and they're just static, as big as 2 double-decker buses, just there in the sky. And angels and cherubs and different sorts of things, people. And so, when you've had experiences like this, you know where all these religions have come from. They've all come out of the mind, they've all come out of consciousness, and they've all come through altered states of consciousness. And I've had many varying altered states of consciousness to know that there are many worlds here. And you don't have to go anywhere to enter another world, you just do it here. So you can do it by LSD, you can do it by MDMA, you can do it by psilocybin, DMT, ayahuasca, all these things. You just enter into a different dimension of consciousness. And those experiences are absolutely life-changing people. So I'm going to now sit here and have an open-eye meditation, because listen, This is as quiet as it will ever get in this whole region, in this, you know, relatively sleepy little village. Just hear car in the distance. But other than that, still and beautiful. So I'm going to be still and beautified, feeling young and strong and free and enlightened, knowing God, knowing that I am God, knowing that this life is absolutely pure bliss, a pure gift, pure miracle. And so I will rant about this bullshit, that bullshit. I'm ranting about the idiocracy of the human being. I'm not decrying in any shape or form this incredible experience. There's few people on this planet that experience the world like people such as I, who appreciate absolutely everything about it. And even when people start to complain about the governments and they complain about the Illuminati and they complain about the globalists, I'm like, look, these people are entirely necessary in this dimension. They're all just doing their jobs. You know, your job is don't be susceptible to it, or at the very least don't be angry by it, and don't feel afflicted by it. You use them to your best potential. Sit here like a king, like I do. That's all you got to do. You've got to change your mindset from being a victim to being a king. I'm wearing a crown every single day. A diamond-studded, bejeweled, golden crown of my kingship, of my realization of my godliness. The experience of drinking cool water on a warm day with a parched throat. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Life. Life. Liquid life, that is, people. Without that, there'd be no life. Isn't that a thing? Without that. And how many of you take for granted? You don't think about it. That's what gives life to this beautiful planet. And 65% of it is covered in that. So there's a very, very tiny little bit of positivity for you people. And I wonder how many of you actually got through to the end. Why don't you put a comment down if you did? Because very few people would really have the constitution. Most people, they don't want to listen to beauty in any way. You know, because look at all the videos. They're all sensationalizing, beguiling you with fear. That's what all clickbait. You know, Russell Brand's channel is a classic. He's always got these faces where he's amazed, and he's got this one liner: they're doing it again, they're coming for you now, oh I can't believe that, all this. And then when you listen to the video, there's nothing there. It's just all hype. It's just, you know, these people, they just got to keep perpetuating doing what they do, because they've got to keep the money coming in, because they've got big houses and big responsibilities, and they've just got to keep the attention of people. Now, I noticed on my channel, when I didn't put up any videos, you know, for one whole week, a few days ago, when I did put up videos, only about half of the people came back. Because people need to be fed constantly, and if you are a constant reminder, a constant reiteration, a constant ping, or a constant alert or red bell, whatever you want to call it, as long as I keep coming up in your feed, then you'll watch me. But as soon as I don't come up in your feed, well, your mind is taken over by other people that come up in your feed, because you can't think for yourselves. Most people won't think for themselves. How many of you, there'll be some of you of course, because some of you are very fond of this channel, when I don't put up a few videos, it's kind of like, where's the fucking Awaken Braves videos? What's happening? Something's going on. And then you look at the channel to see if there's any new activity and blah blah. Yeah, but mostly people won't pursue. And you know, on my homepage it says that I've got 1,300 videos. Well, that's been 1,300 videos for a long time. I'm speculating that there's close on 2,000 videos on that channel now. But how many of you actually, you know, go through the channel, just scroll through, just say, oh, let's have a look what was going on 2 years ago with the Awaken Brave, let's see how he's changed, let's see what topics he was talking about. You don't do that, because you watch one video, then over on the right hand side you've got another suggestion, and that's caught your eye and that's distracted you, and before you know it your mind's gone, oh, click on that, and then you've forgotten what you were doing, you've forgotten about the Awaken Brave, and you're on to the next subject, isn't it? That's how it works, people. That's why I said the other day, are you AI bitches? Because if you're doing that all the time, you're an AI bitch. You are one of AI's bitches, because it's got you exactly where it wants you, just in the constant stream of acquiring your life force, your energy, your attention. You got to step back from that, and you got to ask yourself before you turn on the computer, what do I want to look at today? What am I interested? What do I want to pursue? What questions do I have for AI, or what do I want to know? What about this word? You see, me, I'm always thinking about things all the time, and then I think about a word, and then I go and Google that word, or think about something I want to order from eBay. Then I go and order it, and then I'm thinking about I want to know what this little disease is on this plant, so I'll go and Google that. Then I'll see something happening, you know, on a tree or something, and I'm like, oh, that's curious, I'm going to Google that when I get back. And so I'm using that to furnish what I want it to, instead of just turning on the computer with an empty mind and going, oh, Russell Brand there, oh, you know, Tucker Carlson, and clicking on them, and before I know it's time to go to bed, and what have I done? I've just been led around by my cock, haven't I, all fucking night. You know, AI's just grabbed hold of my dick and say, come here, mate. Pulled me here, pulled me there, pulled me somewhere else. And I'm like, oh, not even thinking about it, just having my brain washed. Don't be brainwashed, people. Try to, you know, be abreast of it. And before you turn on the computer, ask yourself, what do you want to listen to tonight? Anyway, I have other parts of my day, you see. Now I'm going to be absolutely chilling the fuck out. It's 2:45. I'm going around my daughter's house tonight for a bit of a barbecue gathering in her lovely patio. She's bought this new house and she's done it out really great. And we're going to enjoy some family life. And so, yeah, I'll catch you guys later.